So you guys came here because you hope you will get rich, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I'll try not to disappoint you. So my name is Jacob. You can find more about me on my blog, jj09.net. I have some blog posts on F# as well. The most recent was when I was taking this screenshot was about Xamarin. So this is like my personal blog. I blog about stuff I'm usually doing overnight, or like some cool stuff we are doing at work, because I work on the Azure Management Portal, which is one of the largest web apps in the world. It's written in TypeScript, and you can, if you're interested, you can find my talks about how the Azure portal is built. You can find either my YouTube channel, or there's 2 videos on channel 9, I believe. So go check it out. And I live in Seattle. So how many people from out of Seattle are here? All right, a few, right? So if you guys have time, I really encourage you to like check it out, the area, because it's pretty cool. If you like hiking, if you like running, if you like biking, stuff like that, there is like too much to do that even for like, I think in 10 years, you cannot see everything here. So it's pretty cool. I love it here. The only problem is the winter when it rains, but during the summer, it's better than California. So, oh yeah, and if you're doing triathlons like I do, this is again like the best place to live, because you can, the temperature basically allows you to bike all year round. The only problem is like rain, but sometimes you get away when it doesn't rain. You can bike, you can swim. There are people swimming all year round at the Alki Beach in West Seattle, and running, of course, you can also do. All right, so let's talk about F#. So F# is a cross-platform, which is pretty cool. You can use it either on Mac or on PC. There's a cool VS Code plugin called Ionite. I play around with that, and it works pretty well on Mac and on PC. Like today, I am on PC, but you can do most of the stuff I'll be showing today also on Mac. That's pretty cool. And maybe let me show you some stuff, because how many people do not know F# at all? Awesome. So I can show you some stuff. So I have already F# installed, and I will open the interactive command line with FSI. So if I want to declare a variable, it's pretty easy. I say let x equals 2, and then you need to add 2 semicolons, which is a little bit annoying, but you will see why is that. So and then if you want to display it, you say x. And the one thing about F# is that values are usually immutable. So if I try to change it, it will tell me false. It will not throw an error. And then if I access the value, it says still 2. There's a workaround. You can say let mutable y equals 3. And then you can say y, this very uncomfortable assignment sign, and it's very uncomfortable because in F# you shouldn't do it. If you do everything in the right way, you don't have to mutate your variables. So, but they still allow it. So if somebody needs to, you can do it. So that was declaring variables. What other cool things we have? So. For example, if you want to print something to console, let me maybe close this for now. Yeah, pound quit. It took me a while to figure out how to exit this. Actually, it was harder than exit Vim. But yeah, so let's say hello fs. So I'll create a simple file. So let's say input let. Oops, what's going on with my focus? Okay. All right, I'll have to exit them. Okay, one more time. All right, we good. So let name Jacob. Oops. Why? What's going on? Jacob. I don't have to do this actually. I can say let blog equals jv09.net. And oops, I don't have to do this. And then I can say print. What's going on with my backspace? Print function and say hello. My name is string. string. My blog. Damn. I cannot make any mistake anymore. The blog is at string, and I pass two parameters to this function, which will be name and blog. And it's pretty cool because I don't have to use any brackets, I don't have to use any commas. So it's all good. So I'll save this file, and I will compile it with F# compiler. And I say fsc, and then it produced the hello.exe. And say, hello, my name is Jacob, which my blog is at designer.net. So if we take a look at this, this print function is very similar to the server string format from C#, but there's so much less to write, which is pretty cool. And actually, let me switch to interactive. So if you want to declare a function, let's say I'll create a function called square, which will take one parameter, and I want to return x times x. So I want to square x. And then if I say square 2, it will return 4. If you want to have two parameters, you can say let a b equals, let's say multiply a b equals a times b. And you get a function, and then I can multiply 2 times 3, and I get 6. What also you can do with functions, which is pretty cool. So if I want to create a function cube, take x as parameter. So first I need to square, right? So I'll reuse my square function, and then I'll take the result and I'll pipe it my function multiply. So the first parameter will be the result of square x, and the second parameter will be x. You guys love it, right? So now if I say cube 3, I get 27. So this piping is pretty cool when you work with data and you have to do something with data, you have to select stuff and then pipe it to different functions, so on and so forth. What else you can do? For example, recursive functions. This is pretty tricky too. So if I want to create a function, let's call it factorial. That's a better name. And I will say, so if x is equal 0, then return 1, else x times factorial of x minus 1. Right, this is an algorithm to create factorial, but then it says, oh, the factorial is not defined. Why is that? So that's because this is a recursive function, so I need to tell the compiler that this is a recursive function, and then the compiler doesn't complain. So then if I call factorial of, let's say, 3, I get 6, so times 4 is 24, times 5 is 120. Anybody knows what would be times 6? All right. All right. Yeah. So these are functions. These are factorials. These are recursive functions. So the cool thing about F# is you don't have to type a lot. The only thing is you have to get used to the syntax. So this is it was hard for me. For the first 2 days, it was so painful to get used to that. And especially when I want to create an array. I want to create. I said well, let a equals 1, 2, 3, right? And then I see, oh, it created a list. Okay, so that's fine. Probably list is some sort of array, right? Actually, no. The lists are immutable. Arrays are mutable. So I have a list here, and then I want to access the first element. So what I do, I need to say a dot and index 0. Comments, and then I see, okay, why it returned all 3 elements? Because I didn't actually create a list. I created a list with 1 element, which is tuple with 3 elements. So if I want to do it properly, it's a list. I need to do 1 semicolon, 2 semicolon, 3. So that's how we declare a list, and then I can access the element 0. I can access element 1 and element 2. All right, cool. But then again, if I want to modify something, so say list 0, I want to say I already know that I need to use this, right? So I'll try. No, I cannot. But if you create array, and create array, you need to do this. Beautiful, right? Then you can modify and it's actually changed, right? So if you need to immutable collection, use array, immutable, use list. And then at the beginning, like I created this tuple by mistake, right? So this is how we create a tuple. And it's very cool how we can access the first element. You just say fst t, you get 1. And if you say second of t, you get 2. It's pretty cool, right? FST, SID, right? I love it. I love it. Yeah. All right. So I think that's that's enough. You can read out more. There's a bunch of resources. Actually, I think I have some materials later on. But actually, to get started, the best place is to go to my blog, and there's a search, and then where you type F# here, you should find out my blog was about getting started with F#. Okay, it's pretty slow. Probably a lot of people are using it right now. Yeah, so here are some resources. Like very cool for like the beginning is F# Jumpstart on Pluralsight. It's like 1.5 hours, and it gives you an idea. There's some introduction to F# by Don Syme. Then F# cheat sheet is pretty cool because it shows like different syntactic. I mean, it shows you like examples for different features, like for example, how to declare lists, how to declare arrays, so on and so forth. And then like a few talks about F# for C# developers. So I assume a lot of you are C# developers here. Try F# is pretty cool tutorial. So you just interactively learn F# with it. And functional cones, this is pretty cool. So this is basically a GitHub repo. That it has tests that are failing, and you need to fix the test. And once you fix the test, you just progress. So that's pretty cool. And it's pretty easy, like for the beginners. And then if you wanna learn more, check out like F# for beginners. It's like for advanced beginners, because the guy is going over like every F# feature, and it's explaining all performance stuff about it, and when to use it, when not to use it. And very cool thing, which I will show you later, is type providers for F#. So you can find here, and yeah, there's much more resources. There's some Pluralsights on testing with F#, which I will also show you. If you want to do web development, you can do it entirely in F# if you want to. So yeah, so go check out this getting started if you want to get started. And let's talk about machine learning. So that's like the second part of today's talk. In machine learning, there are two main areas or two techniques of machine learning. First one is supervised learning, which basically means that we are giving the data and we are giving a set of rules and saying like, hey, you have these rules, you have this data, and figure out stuff for me. And unsupervised learning is, hey, this is my data, please try to find some patterns in my data. The second is, of course, more advanced. So today we will focus more on supervised learning, and there are two different problems in supervised learning. First one is classification problems, which means, for example, you have some sort of data and you want to say yes or no. For example, you have some list of people, and you want to answer a question whether will this guy buy a house, yes or no. So this is a classification problems, right? The regression problems is what we'll usually take for predicting future stock prices. So you have this set of data, and for example, you have this past stock prices. Please predict me what will be the future stock price for this day. Or you can also get number of different customers of the bike shop, and you have some data about them, and then you're trying to answer like how expensive bike they would buy. For example, like this customer, how expensive bike he would buy. So this is like a regression problem. If you want to learn more about machine learning, it's pretty cool. I really recommend you to check out the Coursera. Coursera is a very good machine learning course. It's created by Stanford, so it's very high quality. I really recommend you. I'm going through it right now, and really like it. And also there is Artificial Intelligence and Modern Approach. This is a course created by Peter Norvig, who is a director of research at Google. And I think this was the first course when they sort of created a different approach for teaching. Instead of having students in the classroom, they post the videos online so students can watch it whenever they want. You just have to submit assignment according to deadlines. And yeah, so yeah, machine learning is hard, right? So, like for example, like when you have these 5 websites and you want to figure out what these websites are about, right? So, for example, the first one is Who Represents. It's about the agents for actors. Or the second one is the Therapist Finder. The third one is, of course, Experts Exchange. The second one is Pen Island, and at the end we have Speed of Art, which is about art, of course. And I think even at Google, like when they try to throw in their machine learning engine, I think they scored pretty good because they classified 4 of them correctly. Only the 4th one they made a mistake, but that's probably because people don't use pen as much anymore. So like in the internet, there's more of the other stuff. Yeah, so Stock Estimator. So Stock Estimator is my hobby project because I'm not writing F# every day. I work on Azure Portal, I write TypeScript, and I'm mostly front-end developer. I written a lot of C#. F# is just my hobby project. I started actually with F# after NDC London. I was at the conference and there was a lot of people speaking about F#. And it looked cool, so I give it a try, and I started liking it more and more. Like as I said, like first 2 days was hard. Like first 2 days was like how you can use this, right? But after that, it was awesome. So, all right. So the thing I'm using in my hobby project, the simplest machine learning algorithm, which is linear regression. So you might remember it from college or even maybe from high school. And linear regression basically means that you get a bunch of data, X and Y, and based on this data, draw a line, giving me like some sort of average and some sort of prediction how the data will draw or not in the future. So the code that I will be showing is on my GitHub, so you can go and check it out. And let me show it to you because that'll be more fun. So I already opened Visual Studio to save you a few minutes. And so here there's my stock estimator logic. This is where actual algorithm lives. So what I'm doing here, is it big enough? At the end, it's okay, cool. So what I'm doing here, I'm using F# data providers. So here I'm using CSV provider, and this is pretty cool because what it is doing, I'm just giving them a link, and based on this link, this is linked to CSV file, and actually I can copy it and I can show you. So if I open it in the browser, it will download me table 1 CSV, and this is just a bunch of data of historical stock prices from last Friday, I guess, to the all the way to I think 86 when Microsoft was created, and based on this, it creates strongly types for you. So here, I have this stocks type, and here in get stock data, I am loading. I'm actually constructing here the actual URL, but then if I say for row in stock data.rows, and here I can say row dot, and I have all these columns I had in the CSV file without creating all these classes, right? So in C#, what you can do, you can use like Swagger, you can generate your strongly typed classes, but you always have to regenerate it. With F#, you don't have to do it. F# is doing this for you, right? So for example, if it shouldn't happen, right? Because you always should version your APIs, right? But you can see here it's not versioned. So if they change your API, then you might get a compilation error, which is pretty cool because again, you don't have to write extra code. So yeah, so what I'm doing here, this function is just getting like the base URL, which is like ticker is the stock symbol like MSFT or AMNZ for Amazon or Google or Apple. And here I'm getting URL for data from to. I specify the start date and end date. And so here I have this, I have this function. You can see here what I'm doing, I'm using this pipe operator. So I'm getting the rows I got and I'm piping it to create a sequence of data, and I'm mapping it to create a tuple of date and close price, because that's all what I actually care about is date and close price. And then I'm creating a dictionary out of it. And then here I'm doing similar thing, but here I create different URL. This is pretty much the same. And here is all the magic happens when I get the estimated price for some specific date. So I have a stock symbol param. For date is for date that I want to estimate it sometime in the future. From date is how far do you want me to look back? Because depends on how far you look back, you might get different results, which I will show you soon. So here I'm getting this data, and I'm adjusting a little bit the data. So I'm converting all my dates to 0, 1, 2, 3, because that will be easier for this function here, math net.numerics.fit.line, which actually is doing linear regression algorithm for you, so you don't have to write by yourself, because you know, like linear regression can be solved in two approaches. Like first is just trying different values and seeing how it fits to the local minimums, or you can do it numerically. So there's a pattern for that, and this library is doing this. Yeah, here it probably can be done in a better way, right? So there are some F# MVPs. How should I refactor it to make it in one line? Can I do it?
Sure.
Okay, but they didn't say it right away, so it's not that easy, you see? So I don't feel bad. Yeah, because it took me a while, but yeah, I'll take a look. I'm sure it can be refactored pretty easy. What's cool? Oh yeah, so yeah, here I'm getting this linear regression, and I have intercept and slope, and then I'm getting the date I want to get the estimate, multiplying by slope plus intercept, and I have result. So here I have a few more methods, but I will talk about them later on. So this is just a class library, where my algorithm lives, and you can see like, you know, it's like 67 lines of code, and that's pretty much it. Here I'm using the F# data, I'm using data providers and the math numerics. And here in Stock Estimator Web API, I have Web API where I'm hosting this API. So if you open this, you can see I have a lot of imports, but don't worry about that. So here I have one function that is just serializing the result to JSON. And here I have the simplest function that is just getting, for me, it's getting the estimated data for 5 days from now based on the data from last year. And here I have a function that can take parameters for what date you want this and how far should they look back. And this is a request. I think this nesting is awesome. Actually, in here later on, I'll show you how you can do this better. So here I'm just parsing a query parameters in a request. And actually, I'm calling this all the way here. So this is how you create a Suave web server. And here I have 4 routes. So actually, we'll be interested in this route, get price for date range, so we can pass different parameters. And I think it's pretty cool, like, how clear it is, like what's going on here. Like you see there are like 3 routes and they're calling some functions, and that's pretty much it. And you don't have to do much of ceremonies. You don't have to do a lot of setup. So, and here's like if you want to do cross-origin requests, there's like some helper function you can use to allow that. So before I run this, I can show you also how I roll the tests. So somewhere here, here I have stock estimator tests. This is my test project, and I think here in Test Explorer they should show up. Nope. So let me set this as a startup project. And should I build this? Okay. So here are the tests for. Okay, so I'm using a few frameworks because there are a few approaches how you can test your F# code. You can test it with C# actually. You can have a C# project. You can use XUnit with C# and you can easily access your F# code. And this is actually what I'm doing here. There's like console app project, and in this project I am actually using this stock estimator logic. This is what I showed you before. And you don't even have to know that this is a F# based project. So the same you can do here. Okay, did it compile? Yeah, awesome. You have tests? Oh yeah, cool. So let's run all the tests. I hope they'll pass. I didn't run them for a while. So here's a pretty cool thing. So like this is XUnit, and this is actually C# syntax. So not much different. But here I'm using FSUnit, which is pretty cool, more beautiful F# syntax. First key should be of exact type, date, time. Beautiful, right? Here I have a different test that is, for example, checking what is happening for particular dates. So inline data works in XUnit, and here I'm showing like 3 different assertions. One is with XUnit, another one is with FSUnit. This is a cool syntax with piping their results. And there's also Unquote. This is another F# framework. It's also pretty cool. You can check out the Pluralsight courses on testing with F#, and they show this different frameworks. But that's basically a very rich choice you can make. So I have a bunch of these tests here, and very cool one is this one. Yes, this one, date property. So what this guy is doing, he's basically checking all my values from 1 to 365. This is a date property, and I am using this date property to generate from integer. And I'm saying arbitrarily filter all the integers that you generated, that they have to be in range from 0 to from 1 actually to 364. And in this case, I don't have to write a for loop or something like that. I can just do this. And if you can see here, oh yeah, all my tests are passing. So that's pretty cool. And I can even prove that this works. So this guy is, let's say it's calling function get estimated price for date with random. So I will go here to my stock data, estimated price with random, and I will say sorry. So he is saying, okay, target day. So I am checking, okay, add days, boom, boom, okay, add years. Okay, so add days is the parameter, I believe. Yes, add days is the generated parameter. So let's say I'll say if from date, oh no, sorry, for date, minus date time now. Total days equals, let's see, 10. Then return 1. Okay, they wanna float. This is how you cast a float and then return float 1. I think this should work probably. No, it's but there's float. Okay, to do this. Will this work now? I'd expect to have uint. Oh yeah, thank you, sir. So it should work. Awesome. Thank you. So now, if I broke it in a good way, and I run my tests again, one test should fail. And this is the one that is generating the data. Okay, it'll take a while. Okay, come on. Okay, I will close this. I hope it will build it, my project. Okay, it's running my tests. And let's see. Come on, fail, fail. Oh yeah, this one, this guy. Oh no, it passed. Yeah. I probably need to rebuild my stock estimator logic. Probably that's what happened. So let me rebuild that. And okay, and rebuild this guy. Okay, because here I'm checking that the estimated price is like within some sort of margin. When I broke the data totally, it should return different things. So okay, let's see. It's rebuilt, and I run all. How did I say the right function? Yeah, for date of random. Yeah. Hope. Okay, it's failing. Come on. You see, this test takes a lot of time. Actually, it's saying 1 millisecond, but that's a lie because there's a bunch of test cases. So it takes much more. And it's actually stuck here right now. Oh, come on. Let's fail. Please. Oh, no. It didn't fail. Damn, I feel so bad. What did I do wrong? Total days equals 10. So for date minus now. And in this test case, do you guys know what I did wrong? So I'm adding days from 1 to 365, and I'm getting the estimated price with random, and should equal within 5% in estimated range. So, well, so this should fail. It doesn't. I'm not sure why. I'll figure it out, and I will post it after after the session. But for now, let's just pretend this demo didn't happen. And let me run my web API. So I will set the web API project as a startup, and I will run this. Okay, so it's running my web API, all right. And here, I have separate front-end project, which is ASP.NET Core project, and there's actually not much going on here. I'm just serving as static files because I'm using Aurelia framework to actually consume my API. So, pretend you have like already existing website, you need to like create some web service, some simple web service like this one is very simple. And you can do this in F# while you can still keep your main web project in C#. So let me run this guy. Estimator, and it's already estimating prices. So what it's doing is estimating prices for MSFT, and it's estimating the prices until December 10 based on data since January 10th, 2015. And you can see like it's pretty, it's actually pretty how it goes up and down, because what I'm doing here to make it actually look a little bit better in my stock data, I have this function get estimated price for data range with random, which is adding 5% up or down. So here you can sort of see if I take a longer range. So let's see, for example, let's see year in the future. So I'll take November 6th, and let's see maybe based on data since Satya became a CEO, right? That should make sense. So that was February, let's say February 1st, it was something around that, right? So I'll click get data, and we'll see what the future looks like. So it might take a while. Actually, here I have a little bit of logging. So here, once the request is done, I'm just outputting done. Here it's getting the prices. And actually, I can show you this code because it's beautiful. It's all Aurelia. How many of you are using React here? React, okay, like 20%. How many of you are using Angular 2? Another 20%. How many is using Aurelia? Nobody? Oh, guys, I feel so bad for you. So this is a really cool framework. So look at that. Here's my, Visual Studio is not the best in supporting JavaScript. So that's why I will open it in VS Code, which is much better. So it's Stock Estimator, I think. And if I go to Stock Estimator Web UI, open it with code, and everything will be looking good. No works quicklies, because the tooling is a little bit behind and I didn't install any plugins. So that's why it doesn't look good. But VS Code is pretty cool to work with JavaScript. Okay, let me close all of this. Close. So this is my project, and for example, so there's the home screen. This one I'm doing. A little bit over 100 lines of code, but most of this code is actually drawing the chart with D3 library. So this is, if you want to draw a simple chart and you have never used D3, you can just go ahead, grab this code and use it. And here, where I'm saying done, is when I click get data, I'm logging that the request started. Okay, I don't want that. And here I'm using Aurelia fetch client, who's getting the data and then it's converting them, and that is getting me price for the last element and displaying the price for the day actually here. And here you can see the progression for the next year. So the future is very bright for Microsoft. Let's see how it looks for Google. That's actually the stock symbol for Google. Okay, again, it will take a while because it's less data you have, it will go faster. More data you have, of course, will go slower. All right, so for Google, you see, not that good. So it's going up, but it's slower. Let's see Amazon. Yeah, Amazon stock is actually awesome. Like I have a friend who joined Amazon like 3 years ago, and like his stock more than doubled since that time. So that's amazing. Okay, come on, Amazon. So you have this like cool indicator here, but you cannot click it while it's computing. I should add some nice spinner. All right, so yeah, Amazon is going to grow. So you guys should buy Amazon stock. Yeah, I probably should do the same. Let's look at the Apple. So Apple, I don't know. Have you guys seen the new MacBook Pro? Is it cool, or what do you think about this cool icons now instead of like function keys? Like, dislike? No. Okay.
I mean,
Not
that a few years ago, didn't they?
not much love, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like after Jobs left, like it's not the same thing, right? Like they like iPhone and iPhone Plus. Like I feel like Jobs would never do this, right? And it'll go down. It'll go down hard. Actually, it'll go down hard. You'll even lose your money. Yeah. So don't buy Apple stocks. All right. So this is how you can do like simple linear regression with F#. Not a lot of codes. Very simple algorithm. Of course, you can do more sophisticated things. But when you have a lot of data, what you might want to use is get help from Azure Machine Learning, because at Azure Machine Learning, you can do similar things. So, what's the next slide? Okay, that's the last slide. So, if you go to studio.azureml.net, so I'll sign in here. My email. One more redirect, and now password and sign in. Okay, so here I have a few experiments, because in Azure Machine Learning Studio, what you create when you want to actually do some sort of flow, you do experiments. So for example, here I have stock estimator MSFT. Can I zoom in? Oops, nope. Okay, here. So what I did here, there's a bunch of tutorials at the end. I have links like how to use Azure Machine Learning Studio. But it's pretty easy. So here I have my data source, which is this CSV file with the past stock prices. And here I'm selecting some columns. So I'm just selecting close date and the date. Close price and the date. And then what I'm doing here, I'm splitting my data into two data sets. I'm splitting it with ratio 0.9. So I'm taking 90% of random data from my input, and I'm applying linear regression algorithm on that. And I'm using this task called train model. And then I am using task called score model, which basically is saying how accurate your estimations were. And if you click on evaluate model, evaluation results, I think it was here. So, so I see my average error is about $22. So taking into account the current stock price, $60, it's pretty big error. So that's probably not the best. Not the best way. But when I go to my different experiment, when I had data from, let's see, here I have from last year, here I have from last month. So when I go here, training experiment, and if I see this model, evaluation results, you see this is much better, because here my error is around $1, which is not a lot, right? When the price is 60, $1 up or down is not that much in predicting, right? And then having this experiment, you can create a web service that allows you to give a date and return your predicted price. So that's what I already did. So here it created for me the predictive experiment, and what I have here is I have some input, and in this case I just named it input 1, which is date. And here I'm getting my training experiment, and also my data, putting it into a score model, and my output is output 1, which is actually the price. I was a little bit lazy to change the data, but trust me, it works. And then when you click deploy web service, it will actually create this web service. And here on the left-hand side, there are my web services that are deployed. So this is the last web service. And here, when you click new web services experience, it will take you to a different portal. Actually, it's so bad that the machine learning is not yet in the new portal, but I hope they are getting there. And here, once it loads, come on. So here, we have instructions how to consume this web service. So there's a key, and there's even like example snippet of code, how to do it in C#, how to do it in Python, Python 3, and R. So that's what I did. I set up this service, and then in my Suave server, not logic, but web API, here I created a get price from Azure. And here, so this route, get price from Azure, is actually calling this get price from Azure function. And here you see I did the parsing the request a little bit better. So this is actually from a gentleman from Reddit, because my post I put it on Reddit and people started commenting it, and there was a pretty interesting discussion there. And one guy said like, hey, you can do this in a better way, and you can just use this function which allows you to parse your parameters in a better way. And how to do that is call this bind and put the name of my parameter. And here's a second parameter. And if I had third, I'll just do this, right? But I have only two. And here I'm again getting service and getting token from the tuple with FST and SMD, if you remember that. And here I'm using the F# data library to do the request. And here I have a link, and here I'm putting this JSON in the body. So boring stuff, but this is how we set up this request. And let's see. So here, because I have different experiments, so actually here's a little bit more code. It's like what might be 20 lines. And here C# is like a little bit more, maybe less, maybe more. So let's see. If I go back to my web API, here there is this Azure Machine Learning, and here I have different experiments. So this is based on the historical data all the way to 86. So if I try to estimate, let's say for December 12th, or let's say if I want to estimate for Wednesday, so 2 days from now. So get price, I get 27, right? now we are at 60, I hope. Yeah, we're at 60, so it will be too bad if day after tomorrow it's 27, right? But I can do better, and I can choose the data set that will, let's say, estimate based on last year. Get a price 54. Still not the best, but here I'm basing on data from until the November 3rd, and here if I get on next month, estimated price is 58.64. So probably not that bad, but you see it's much faster because data is already populated here in the machine learning studio. So you can query it, you can get the data. The other thing is what you can do here. You can not only use because here I use the file as my data, you can also use a database. I don't know yet if it's possible to use some live data to call the provider right away, because I'm using some free subscription here. Let's go back to presentation. So for now, my stock estimator project is pretty early stage, but you can still take advantage of that. You can see to don't buy Apple stock, buy Amazon stock, stuff like that. It's pretty useful. So so first thing with a sharp is now with DevOps, there's this trouble that there's many ways to deploy. There's so many tools, and you're lost what to do. And it's probably similar like in JavaScript world, right? I know you guys have seen this article, how it feels to learn JavaScript in 2016. Some of the guys like saying, "Hey, I want to display the newsfeed on my website. What should I do? Oh man, you should go with React, definitely React. Oh, okay, so I just download this React thing and I can display. Oh no, they need to React DOM too because we need that. Why do I need it? Oh, because we can use JSX. And oh wait, what is JSX? Oh, this is React syntax, which is pretty cool, and we can take advantage of ECMAScript 6 or wait, what is ECMAScript 6? Oh, that's the next version of JavaScript, which is usually transpile with bubble to it or texture. Oh wait, what is bubble and texture? Oh, so bubble is this transpile that transpiles, and and the guy is going for half an hour. What you need to do to display newsfeed, right? So the same with the deployments today. It's also a bunch of different tools. So I didn't deploy this yet, but so there are a few options. You can use Fake. I think Scott Hanselman did a blog post how you can deploy F# project with Suave with Fake. I was also thinking about using Docker because, as you can see here, I have a few projects. I have my web UI. I can deploy it independently. Then I can deploy my web API independently together with, of course, my logic. So I can deploy this in 2 other containers or stuff like that, or I can use Azure Service Fabric. So Azure Service Fabric is doing this cool thing that it do a lot of load balancing for you. So for example, you're saying, hey, I want to have 5 instances, I have these 3 apps, please distribute it accordingly, and we'll make sure that I don't want to put 2 apps on one instance because it doesn't make sense. We put it on different instances, so one will go down, you always have another. It's a pretty new thing. It's actually Azure Service Fabric it's actually what Azure is built on, kind of sort of. So it's pretty cool. So there are 2 options, and so that's my next step to play around. And yeah.
Did you also use Azure App Service?
Azure App Service. I don't know if they support F# out of the box yet. Last time I checked, they didn't. So you have to do this sort of magic. But I think Tomasz Petricek, Petricek deploy F# Suave. He did this blog post how you can, or he had this GitHub repo. So here's a video how he is showing Suave Dojo that I put together. I think if you go here, yeah, you can click deploy to Azure, and it will deploy it maybe to Azure App Service, but he's adding some, he's using a packet to deploy, so another tool. But yeah, that was 2 years ago, so probably wasn't supported out of the box. Go back. Right. So another thing, add more algorithms, right? Because it will be cool to check the different algorithms how this will work. So there are other regression algorithms like boosted decision, which is basically taking data from the past and you try to predict, and then tomorrow you check how good you predicted and you adjust the algorithm. Or neural networks or decision forest when you have a few different algorithms. Actually, it's a pretty cool thing. A few years ago, Netflix created this contest that if you create an algorithm that will improve our prediction for a recommendation by 10%, we'll give $1 million. And then a bunch of people, of course, were trying, and there was this one team that was winning every year, but they didn't get to this 10%. They just improved the algorithm by 4%, by 5%. And in 1 year, they team up with other teams and they put all their algorithms together. And they were able to do better than 10%. But what is funny, then it turns out that it was so complex that Netflix couldn't take advantage of this algorithm. They couldn't implement it. They couldn't use it efficiently. So So again, machine learning is hard, and especially what is important in machine learning is also like a lot of data, because more data you have, the better decision you can do. And a few years ago, actually, what changed is people discovered that better than rule-based reasoning, it's better to use example-based reasoning. So I don't know if you remember, but 5 or so years ago, that translators from language to language, they suck. They really suck, right? I remember I was in high school, one time I used translator and the teacher said oh man, don't try it. So today, actually, when you put a sentence and I translate from Polish to English because I'm from Poland, then it gives me pretty legit sentence. And what happened, Google changed the algorithm. Instead of trying to say hey, this is the sentence and this is the rules of the language, try to convert it. Instead, they search the entire internet for examples of text when there is English and there is Polish, and they see, okay, so here is the sentence, and this is how it is translated, and this is, we have a lot of examples. There's big probability that most of them rather will match. It will be probably a bunch of product you have to reject. But based on that, they improved the translator, and it turns out it works, and now it's much better. And now this is what actually people are doing. This is how the image recognition is working. This is how the translation is working. And basically, this is called deep learning. And this is what basically we are doing. And the same thing recently on Quora, I've seen this question, what is the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence? And one lady said that actually now they're pretty equivalent because all of the artificial intelligence technique became deep learning, which is this machine learning algorithm. So this is almost the same as of today. 5 years ago, it was two different things. People were trying different approaches, but this one worked the best so far. So yes, here's some miscellaneous, because there's a lot of cool JavaScript libraries for charting. I've seen this guy who did the visualization of your brain. It was a talk on Narrow.js, and that guy's he connected one guy's brain to some machine and he displayed it with JavaScript. That was pretty cool. Okay, and one thing I didn't show you, I feel like I didn't show you one thing. Oh yeah, so here I have this console app, and I also have WinForms app. So this is pretty cool. Because again, you run on the .NET frameworks. So here 20 plus 24, so 50 lines of code, and this is Windows app, 32-bit app, and it should give me some prediction of the prices as well, and it should draw a nice chart. So you're gonna check out the code, go to the GitHub repo. You can, okay, come on. Oh yeah, here you go, boom. Okay, so there's some wrong data, something went wrong, but in general, you can see here is historical data, and here's the future gradual increase. Yeah, so as I said, everything is on my GitHub, and oh yeah, and the resources, because you probably want to learn more. So this presentation is also online, you can see the link. So the websites, first go to my blog, then try F#, it's pretty cool. There's this F# commands I mentioned that you just fix the text and you learn. F#.org, F# for fun and profit. There is also the music store, which is sample ASP.NET application. They converted to Suave Framework. Very cool is also F# cheat sheet, because you get, again, different features of F# explained. And if you're a C# developer, check out the gotchas. Again, a lot of stuff on Pluralsight, so check it out. Okay, did you guys take a photo? Yeah, okay, cool, I can change. And also, you can follow a few people, especially Tomasz Petruczek. He's very active, he's doing a lot of talks, he's showing very cool stuff with F#. For example, he did this who will survive Titanic, and you can based on data again, you can check okay, this guy was the rich guy, he was in the first class, so his probability is higher. If you're a captain, you're certain to die because there was one captain who died, right? Very interesting. Other people are long time, Philip Frelford and Scott Vlashin. So they have blogs, they have a lot of talks online, which is pretty good. I've seen a few, all of them. So I recommend you to check it out. And on machine learning, as I said at the beginning, the Coursera is great. AI Modern Approach by Peter Norvig. And the third one is a YouTube video. Like if you go to the presentation, there are links behind that actually, but if you Google for it, you can find it too. This Peter Norvig, How Computers Learn, he's actually explaining how they improve the translation and image recognition with deep learning at Google. And there's also side machine learning with F#. So there's like a list of, actually let me click that. So there's like a list of very cool things like tutorials, introductions, and they're doing cool things with F# and machine learning. So really, really cool. And also to start with Azure and machine learning. Azure Machine Learning Studio, there's a cool series of YouTube video put up by some professor from some university. He really he did a really good job in like less than an hour how to create an experiment from scratch and how to do some adjustments. And also the webinar, which is by Eric Boyd. I believe he's MVP on Azure, and he also created this cool YouTube video showing basically the same thing with like some introduction to machine learning. And there's also this site Quantopian. I didn't start playing with that, but what this site allows you to do, you can write investments algorithms, and so if you click start coding here, so it's some demo algorithm, right? So somebody wrote it, and you can improve it. And let's say run full. No, I want to do that. How can I run it? Build algorithm. Oh yeah, that's how I start. All right, and so this is some Python code, and the guy is doing some different tricks how to predict the future again. And here you can see like how his prediction is going with actual reality. So this is like based on the past, and it's like, for example, taking data from like the 90s to 2000, and you create an algorithm, and it'll check if your prediction for like 2000 plus was right or wrong. So this is a pretty cool site to play if you're interested. And then of course you can apply it for the future. So that's pretty much what I had, and don't want to keep you longer. So if anybody has some questions, then please catch me later. And I think there's after party, right? So I encourage you guys to go there and have fun. And thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yes.